Welcome to Diplomatic Hour with Owe Lakenfa. This wet morning in Abuja. And we have a big ambassador with us. Ambassador Wendell De Landro, the ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
He's a very unique person. When I say mighty ambassador, well, he's also from the country that produced Mighty Sparrow. We all know Mighty Sparrow in any case. But he's a big ambassador because he's ambassador to Nigeria, representing Trinidad and Tobago, and of course Algeria. But he's also looking at the interests. So he's also having concurrent representation to countries like Cameroon, Liberia, Ghana, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, and it's also representing Trinidad and Tobago in ECOWAS and in the African Union. So you're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Beyond that, if you were to see or meet Ambassador De Landro, on the streets of Abuja or Nigeria, you would think he's any other Nigerian. Especially today that he's also wearing a Nigerian attire. The unique thing about him is that he had lived in Nigeria before. Between 2006 and 2010, he was working with Shell in Port Harcourt because he's an oil expert. In fact, he was CEO of Moral Oil in Trinidad and Tobago. And he's a petroleum engineering specialist with the Saudi Arabian company, Aramco. So you have a well-rounded ambassador with us, with good knowledge, technical knowledge, political knowledge, cultural knowledge, and you find that out. So welcome, sir. Ambassador.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's just start this program off. Let's start this program off. You know, saying that you look every inch a Nigerian. But the truth is that Trinidad and Tobago has up to 42.3% of its population being Indian. So 40% are actually Africans. 18% are mixed race. Oh, the Chinese are also there, 1%. And of course, whites are 0.6% in that country. So it's a unique country. And the question is, how has this unique population impacted on your country, sir?
Okay. Good morning to our listeners. As introduced, my name is Wendell De Landro. To answer your question directly, how has this mix of people impacted the country? First off, I want to say that it was done basically for nation building, in religion, culture, and food. The words of our anthem, which we became independent in 1962, 2 years after Nigeria. We got independence from the British. It says that every creed and race will find an equal place. That's the part of the anthem that we sing there. And the words reflect the deity and strength of the people and our courage as one nation working towards unity, something that I think is dear to Nigeria now, especially with the elections coming up. So we have been doing that, trying to get these different set of people together, and what we think our watchwords are: together we aspire, together we achieve. Now, even our flag, the colors are red, black, and white. The red represents the sun, representing courage. The black represents the people, earth, dedication, and the white represents water, purity, and equality. So even, I would say, we want to call him our forefather, which is the PNM government under Dr. Eric Williams, had this notion or the vision to have Trinidad as a melting pot of multiracial people there.
No, well, okay, we talked about the population, but also your religion also. I mean, you look at a mix of Christians being about 63% of the population, You have Hinduism, about 20% of your population. You have Islam, about 5% or 2.5%. Then you have other religions. Interestingly, you also have Orisha.
Yes,
The
we do.
Yoruba religion as a major religion in Trinidad and Tobago. How has this played out?
Okay, they, again, because of the people there, the Christians came in under the Spanish. In fact, the Spanish came in there to convert the Amerindians that they found there, the Arawaks and Caribs. So the Christian, he came with that. Because it was neglected over a long period since it was discovered in 1498 by Columbus under the being sent there by the King and Queen of Spain, King Ferdinand and Isabella. The country was not really looked upon favorably because there was no gold. The whole purpose of the Spaniards coming there was to go for gold, and they were looking for El Dorado. They found gold in the other islands and in Guyana and stuff like that, but not in Trinidad. So it was neglected. As a result of that, the French started to come in there to help with the plantations. In fact, in 1600, Sir Walter Raleigh, one of the English buccaneers, went into Trinidad and ravaged the country. He destroyed the capital, St. Joseph, burnt it down, and just to show that they had no food, no proper military. The Spaniards were not taking care of the country, all right? So that's what happened there with the Christians, at least. The Hindus, which are the East Indians, they came in as indentured servants after emancipation. So in 1800s, 1844 somewhere, they came in as indentured servants because at that time there was, I wouldn't say there was starvation, there were problems in India. So they were trying to come out to look for a better life. And they came there to work on the sugarcane plantations. The Africans, obviously, because the Amerindians were wiped out, disease, and then because they were Christians, the plantation owners did not want them to work as slaves. So, and they themselves were rebellious. They would fight the Spaniards and stuff. So they said, let's leave them alone and bring in people who are now to work the sugar plantations. So the Africans came in since in the 1600 until slavery was abolished in 1834, 36, somewhere around that time. So that's the Africans and the East Indians. We have the Portuguese. The Portuguese came in initially as traders, and they came in there, again, looking for a better life. They brought in their religion, Christianity also, and Presbyterian. That's also thing there. Muslims will be a mix of them coming in there. There's no historical thing to say when the Muslims came in, but they would come in probably too as the East Indians, right? Because, until India broke up with Pakistan and stuff like that, there was supposed to be Muslims and Christians and Hindus, living there. So that formed part of the religious thing there. What is interesting is that because of the multiculturalism there, each religion has their own holiday. All right? The Christians obviously have the most because it's a Christian country. All right? The Hindus have their own holiday. It's called Diwali, the Festival of Lights. So they celebrate that. The Muslims, obviously the Eid al-Fitr, we just passed through the month of Ramadan here with Eid. You all have two Eids here. We have one in Trinidad that's celebrated, the big Eid. So there's a holiday for that. That's one day. Not like here where we have 2 days for the Eid after Ramadan. Then they also celebrate Hoseh. Hoseh is a festival whereby they build these edifices and then burn them at the end of this celebration time, right? So they have that. Recently in the 1990s, we got the Spiritual Baptists. They got their holiday. And the Spiritual Baptist is linked, I said 1990s, 15 years ago. All right, yeah, so somewhere in the 1990s. They are linked with the Orisha.
I see.
All right? They were outlawed by the Christian government before, that you couldn't go now and be they call them shouter Baptists or spiritual Baptists, whereby they would go and preach at the side of the road with their bell, similar to what you see. I've seen it in Port Harcourt, right? I think it's cherubim and cherubim,
Yes,
right?
yeah, seraphim, yeah.
Seraphim. So it's that same type of people you see there, and it was outlawed, so they couldn't do their practice religion openly. Now they have gotten a holiday to show you how well everything is integrated there. With regard to the Hindus and the Muslims, for example, I went to a Catholic school. I am Catholic. And during religious instructions, the non-Catholics would be given a free period. So they would not be stopped from going to school. They would be in the same school with Christians, but they would not be going to church and stuff. They have their own thing to, they get a free period at that time. Again, showing the tolerance of it there. Similarly, my good friend, he went to Hindu school. He is Anglican. But based on where he lived, that was a good school to go to. And each religion have their own association for the schools. So there's the Ashja association with the Muslims. The Hindu association, they have their own schools, Lakshmi school and stuff like that. And all are funded or partly funded by the government. The Christian schools, I went to the school funded by the Holy Ghost Fathers, right? They again funded by the government there. So religion was part of, it's part of this society as such. It's part of education. It plays a big role in education there. Again, keeping the congregations of them within and stuff there.
No, thank you very much. Listeners, you're listening to Diplomatic Hour with Owela Kemfa on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. And our guest today is Ambassador Wendell Delandro, the ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago to Nigeria. Actually, the ambassador is actually at home with us all here. Ambassador, the steel band is known all over the world. It's a famous one. But I know it originated from Trinidad and Tobago. What's the origin of this, the steel band?
Okay, the steel band originated, I would say, out of the carnival and out of slavery. Remember, the African slaves came in with their drums, okay? And that was being used for communication and stuff like that during the period there. After the emancipation, the emancipation where slavery was abolished, around 1881, the island, or the powers that be, and as the British, outlawed or banned African percussion drums, music. So this was in response to some riots that they had, what they call the Cambule riots. Cambule being the term used for when the cane, sugar cane was the mainstay. When the cane was burning, what would happen is that they would get the slaves from other plantations to come and help them out the fires that was caused there. And at some point in time, there was a big riot called the Cambule riot there, and they thought the slaves were organizing, similar to what happened in Haiti, so they banned African music. But as fate would have it, and we Africans, we would not allow that to stop us. We started using the drums, we started to use bamboo. So you have different lengths of bamboo cut, different thickness, different lengths, and making a song beating the bamboo on the ground. But that won't last long because the bamboo will break.
Yeah.
So we call it tambour bamboo. And right around in 1937, stuff like that, we started using frying pans, tins, petrol tins and stuff to get the music. And then during World War II, again, there was problems, there's no carnival, nothing like that. The folks in Trinidad used that time to develop the pan. And that came about with guys from we don't want to call them ghetto, but people in the poorer areas, whereby they used that as a means of enjoying themselves. And the steel band was born in a place called Laventille, for example. Right? We accredit Winston Spree Simon as the inventor of the steel band. Note that the steel band is the only instrument created in the 20th century by Trinidad and Tobago. It's our national instrument, And that's something that we're very proud of, to be associated with that. The instrument can play, it's like anything else. It's like a guitar or a piano, based on the notes there. It can play any type of music. High life, gospel, jazz, classical, calypso, you name it, we can play it on the steel pan. The development of steel pan now is after, in the early 60s for independence, it was used by the government, the party there, PNM, as a means of helping black people or African people to survive. So, in fact, the Prime Minister used the steel band for his campaign and to help. So, with that now, you found that the bands are not only just community areas, but they got sponsors from some of the big business in Trinidad. So each band will have a sponsor name, it'll be like Whitco Desperados, BP Renegades, Shell Invaders, you know. And so the company that sponsored had a name there. Some people felt that it took away from the authenticity of the people controlling the steel pan, because now you have a sponsor, you have who pays the piper is going to call the tune, right? So you had to be very mindful of that. But it's gone to a state now where it's big. I mean, steel pan is now being played, I can call the countries: USA, UK, France, Germany, Norway, Denmark, South Africa, Japan, Virgin Islands, Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, Australia, Korea, Botswana, and in Nigeria here. Okay. Right?
Are you trying to popularize it in Nigeria?
Yes. One of my goals for my tenure here is to try to put pan in schools in Nigeria. And this is something that there's a socio-economic impact of that, which will benefit Nigeria and the youths, in the sense that to play the pan, you have to dedicate yourself to learn the tune, to learn the music, and stuff like that. So it would not give you enough time for delinquency, right? For militancy and stuff like that. It gives you a passion, and not only that, when you're finished with it, that's what you have learned in school can be used now in your community. Also, you can form with your friends a small group to go and play in the hotels, to play at Hilton, to play in Sheraton. You can play in the church, right? One of the big things I saw, there was Cubana, a guy who had his mother's funeral.
Yeah, yes,
right.
yes.
Funerals are a big thing in Nigeria. Good? Yeah. Just imagine, okay, he had 4,000 goats, so many cows and stuff like that. They were spraying with wads of money, that he had a steel pan playing for his mother's funeral.
Yeah.
This will be something like I can see happening now, where this will be part and parcel of, you know, the funeral celebrations, right? Which, and again, it's not playing, it's going to be playing holy music, Ave Maria, all the different music that you associate with funerals. So it's something that I'm working on and trying to work with regard to targeting the southern states, more Christian states there, first, by going to the governors and seeing that if they will sponsor a school and then get a steel band from Trinidad to send the pans. It's a bit costly because of these are, and it's not the big, I'm selling only 16 pieces.
Okay.
That 16-piece ensemble can be used for so if I have one 16-piece ensemble, for example, at the mission in Abuja here, schools can come and play on that.
I see.
Right? My goal is to see a competition in Port Harcourt, for example, in let's say Rivers, in Cross Rivers, in Delta. Then the best school, that one that can come now to Abuja and play in Abuja for the best school or steel band school in Nigeria. So you can have the different states doing that, and this will, I mean, it's going to be business in the sense that you now have to produce the pans. Nigerians will be taught how to make the pans, to press it. You have pan tuners. You have, there's so much that can grow out of this, you know. That, and this, what we are looking at, the groups I've been talking to, we call it from drums to steal, in that the drums came to the diaspora, came to the West Indies, came to Trinidad, and now we are bringing back a steel pan to Africa. And I'm using Nigeria as a model, whereby if once this works, that model can be used now for the different African countries that I'm accredited to, to do the same thing throughout Africa. Because as I said, it's been played all over. Why not here in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Apart from the steel pan, Trinidad and Tobago also produced or gave the world calypso and soca music. And calypso, of course, is quite popular in Nigeria. What's the origin of this? And how can we do
well, again, it's associated with the carnival. Carnival, it's in Trinidad, was done prior to Lent. It's the 2 days before Lent, before Ash Wednesday, when Lent starts. So you can call it a Christian, it's associated with Christian liturgy. And that stemmed from the music. So for Carnival, you have to have music. The steel band came into it, but before that, we had the calypso. Calypso is a style of African Caribbean music that originated in Trinidad during the mid-19th century. It spread to all the other countries, Venezuela and stuff too. And this was linked, is a storytelling, right? I can go back to 1967 and play a calypso and remember what happened in Trinidad at that time. Okay. So it's like the Peregrinades and then the French, where you have the storytelling. Even in Nigeria here, I think it's associated with the Efik and Ibibio people of Nigeria, the Kaiso, right? And that's storytelling. Even the mass, our mass, we have what is called Mokojombi, which are guys walking on stilts. Yeah. I've seen it here in Nigeria. Okay. Right? So, again, showing that the African influence in the diaspora is strong, where we came from West Africa and Central Africa. And that is carried through in our full culture, you know, with obviously the mix from the different races and stuff. But the calypso, and the thing about the calypso is that we have calypso competitions, but you cannot bring your calypso from last year to sing this year.
I see.
Unlike the US, where Michael Jackson could bring his song and play it all the time, no. For you to come in the calypso competition, you have to make a new song every year. So that shows the talent that has to be, that's being generated by the people of Trinidad and Tobago to do this. And I mean, we have calypsos all over the world right now. The Carnival, for example, is all over. You have the Notting Hill Carnival in London. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Caribana, Toronto. There's a Houston Carnival there. Right? There's lots Miami, New York, Labor Day. All carnival celebrations came from Trinidad. And they follow through with the mass. The mass is something where you put on your costumes and you play. Trinidad is the only, well, the mecca of mass, whereby you'll have bands of 30,000 people playing costumes, which is different from Calabar. Calabar, we help Calabar with their mass, doing their mass there. The difference is that the Calabar government will now make the costumes, pay for the costumes, and give people to parade. In Trinidad, it's a money-making venture, whereby bands will be formed, they will design their costumes, make the costumes, and sell it to participants. It's different from, say, Brazil, where you have to join a samba class, a samba thing, to play mass. And people come to Brazil and look on. For example, if you come to Trinidad now in February, Carnival's February, March, it's a time with the Lenten season, you can play mass by buying a costume. Okay. You buy a costume, you go into the band, and you, your wife, your family, you play mass. Unlike other places where you have to just look on, you can participate. Right? With the mass, there's a lot of parties before. In fact, our carnival now starts Boxing Day. Right after Christmas, you get Christmas out of the way, and we start preparing for mass, for carnival. Right?
So how long does that take? A week or so?
The carnival is only 2 days.
2 days, okay.
Monday and Tuesday before Lent, Ash Wednesday. Oh. But The parties, as I said, start from Boxing Day, the 26th of December.
Yeah.
And what we do, like every weekend, we call them all-inclusive fetes, or Sunday fetes, whereby the parties go from like 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday to 8 o'clock. And they're a bit pricey to keep the youths out and stuff like that. So you have senators, this one, all the who's who in Trinidad attending these parties. You know, more of the middle-aged and elderly ones, so to relax and enjoy the carnival. Obviously, the youths are coming there, and you have all the bands playing and enjoying the music. You know.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. You're listening to Diplomatic Hour with Owela Kemfa on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. And we're speaking with the Ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago in Nigeria, Ambassador Delandro. Perhaps the most famous Trinidad and Tobago musician that we have in the world is Mighty Sparrow. We all know Mighty Sparrow. So let's listen to Mighty Sparrow for a few minutes.
Abuja. Wake up. Reach out. Speak up. Speak out. You are the voice of a new generation. And this is your station. Talk Radio 93.7 Citizen FM.
They have a popular King Sparrow and the situation in Trinidad.
Listen carefully. I am a man that's never be sorry. I say listen carefully. Sparrow is a man that's never be sorry. But I went and voted for some councilmen. They have me now in the pen after promising so much tender care. They forget me as they walk out of Woodford Square because they raise up on the taxi fare. No, doctor, no. Hey, and they have the blasted milk so dear. No, doctor, no. I want them to remember we support them in September. They better come good. Because I have a big piece of mango wood. Well, plenty people sorry they throw down big belly, but not me. I stick in my pressure when I can't buy milk. I use sugar and water. Support local industries, they don't declare. They mean VAT 19 rum and carry beer. The way how they forcing me to drink VAT, it look as if they want to kill we in smart. Oh Lord, they raise up on the taxi fare. No, doctor, no. And why the blasted milk so dear? No.
To Diplomatic Hour with Owela Kemfa on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. And we'll be speaking to the Trinidad and Tobago ambassador in Nigeria. That music was by Mighty Sparrow. Mighty Sparrow is known all over the world. He came from Trinidad and Tobago. So I also know you have beautiful beaches, you have fantastic flora and everything. I know tourism can be attractive. I know it's not your major thing because you have oil and gas. But has this been affected in any way by events in the world, especially COVID-19?
Yes. COVID-19 affected our carnival, which is the biggest attraction for tourists. Because of that, the last carnival, luckily for us and for me, in 2020, that was the last carnival we had.
Okay.
All right, and the COVID took full flight in March 2020. Our carnival was right at the end of February. All right, in fact, I was there. And when I left Trinidad after the carnival, I'd gone to Ghana with my prime minister because he was invited to the Ghanaian independence. I think it was March 9th by President
Akufo.
So I was across there because I'm also an ambassador for Ghana, and that was the last carnival that I played. We were hoping to have one this year, although the COVID was restrictions were lifted a bit, but I went down and there were a few parties which I didn't feel comfortable attending, so I played golf instead. But in Tobago, I played golf. So yes, it affected the tourism trade there, and that means a lot of people who depend on Carnival for their livelihood obviously be affected. And I'm talking about the musicians, the mass people who form the bands, all the artists. Some of them have to go outside and do things there. So we are hoping that, God willing, and next year, 2023, there's going to be a ring down. Let's make sure, because it's like you have lost it for 2 years.
Yeah.
21, 22. When this come now, I don't know. It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Bad decision. That carnival. It's going to be bad. Yes. So and definitely I'll be there.
Yeah.
I think next year it's the 20th and 21st of February. That's the carnival, Monday and Tuesday. Luckily for me, so Wednesday, my birthday is the 23rd of February.
Okay.
So I will celebrate my birthday in Trinidad after carnival. God willing.
Amen, amen, amen. Well, I talked about oil and gas, and we know there are problems in the world now about shortages as a result of crisis in Europe. Is there any way, I know you're also an oil expert, and I know your country also produces oil and gas. Is there any way countries like Trinidad and Tobago, Nigeria and Co can take advantage of this? And how do we own it so that it's not just about some Europeans coming to run our oil and gas for us?
All right. I'll answer your question this way, in that way back, first off, Trinidad started the oil industry in 1908. So we have been in this thing a long time. Okay. In the 70s, we naturalized some of the companies there, and we formed our own Petrotrin, because they were like, BP was there before, Shell was there before. We got rid of them and we bought them out and took over the industry. At that time, the Amoco was the big player offshore. We found oil and gas offshore, but more oil. That was in the 1973-74. I started working with Amoco in 1977 as a petroleum engineer with them. And at that time, 1978 was when we had the largest production for Trinidad in oil, 148,000 barrels a day. That was big at that time. Obviously, the bust came in 1982 when the price of oil plummeted.
Yeah.
Right? But even with that, during that time, we looked at the oil company and they were flaring gas. They were flaring 40 million cubic feet of gas offshore. And that gas was in 20 fields in Teak and Pui. 2 fields offshore there. What has happened is that the fishermen were enjoying it because they would be fishing at night by the flares, and a lot of kingfish and stuff, they get it in there. But the government got ticked off and said, listen, you cannot be flaring our natural resources like that. So the wells that have high GOR, high gas oil ratio, please shut them in. The company Amoco at the time said, okay, we are not in the business of gas, we are an oil company. So my Prime Minister said, very well. That means that the gas that you are flaring now belongs to me being the country.
Yeah.
And I will pay nothing for it.
Yeah.
So the government, in their wisdom, and we had some technocrats and stuff, decided to borrow money to put on compressor platforms, because this gas was being flared at 14 point atmospheric pressure.
Yeah.
So we compress the gas and use that gas now for power in the country. So we compress the gas offshore, put the pipeline, and send it up to the capital, where we had the power station, to stop using bunker fuel to generate electricity and using gas. So we have gas turbines now. That was the start of our, you could call it like a gas economy. Because with that now, we started to find more gas. As we found more gas reserves, we developed an industrial estate in the west of the country, whereby we became the fourth largest producer of methanol, urea. We have 4 methanol plants and stuff like that. And in the 90s, we discovered even more gas and we started to do LNG, where we were exporting LNG to the US and to Spain, Repsol. The US is now, because of their shale and stuff, they no longer use our LNG, but we still sell to Europe and stuff like that. We have 4 LNG trains. Nigeria has 7.
Yes, sir.
So it's something that, in fact, I was invited by the Nigerian Gas Association to present our gas development plan to them in 2019 after I came here. It was well received. And even your Vice President, Osinbajo, mentioned it with regard to what Nigeria should be doing with regard to outing the flares, for example, in the Delta.
Yeah.
Right? Right now in the Delta, they're flaring probably. When I was here in 2000, when I left 2010, it was close to 2 billion cubic feet. Hear me properly, 2 billion cubic feet of gas. Now it's slightly down. And that's like an LNG train, a whole LNG train that is going up in smoke. Since that time, you're losing energy that you'll never get back, right? It can't be done anywhere else in the world, yet we're doing it here, you know? And it's something that it just rubs me the wrong way to see that energy is being utilized, just being thrown away.
Wasted, yeah.
You know, so this is, but we have offered to help in all with our technology. Yes, we are small, but we have done it before, and we have done it since in the 80s,
Yeah.
right? And I think, rightly so, I think Bayelsa and some other the southern states are trying to do their industrial estate now because of the gas they're finding there, which would be good for Nigeria, you know, to utilize that gas for power and stuff.
Okay. In terms of domestic use of gas in Trinidad and Tobago, is it common?
Well,
Domestic use.
no, we use the LPG,
Okay.
right, for the cooking gas. So there are companies that cooking gas there, they pass on with the small cylinders, big ones, and they use that. What we did not really harness was the fact that gas, I think when I was in Holland there, they use gas for the dryers, for example. You know, we have gas pipeline all the way from the east of the country, across the west, up north, and back to the east. But it's only being used for power, okay, and not for domestic use.
Okay.
We have not gotten into that really, so we just use the cylinders to provide gas for cooking.
No, thank you very much. Looking at Europe has advantages, you know, in terms of, military advantage, technological advantage, and other advantages over the rest of the world. Yet they are united in one country. I mean, one union, European Union. What's making it difficult for our brothers and sisters in Latin America, in the Caribbean, to do that, and even in Africa?
Well, in the Caribbean, I can address that. We have what is called the CARICOM.
Yeah.
It's a CARICOM environment where the presidents or the leader of the CARICOM movement is rotated every year. In fact, last year, my prime minister was the head of the CARICOM committee there.
Yeah.
Now, the CARICOM itself is small in that we are only 7 million. Our trading bloc is only 7 million. You mentioned Africa, and I shouldn't say if, but when the African free trade and is properly done with the 54 countries, we're talking about 1.3 billion market you're looking at, 1.3 billion people in that year, compared to our CARICOM is only 7 million. So we won't, yes, we can trade, but within ourselves we have our open borders in the sense that you don't need a visa to come and work if you're in Jamaica, in Trinidad, and vice versa. So the islands, the CARICOM islands have that, right? Besides the freedom of movement, you have freedom to work within the CARICOM region, which is something that is happening in Europe. We don't have the same currency. They have not worked on that. And this is something that has an improvement way back in the 60s when they tried to form the federation with the CARICOM countries, and that broke up because of the different pride between the leaders of not who will be the resident capital of the federation.
Okay.
And Jamaica say we are the largest, we want it. Trinidad say we are the richest, we want it, and it broke up. But CARICOM now is not like that, and it's a little more amenable to the people and them being friendly and stuff like that in the CARICOM region, because we have to survive with that, because our big trading bloc is the US. So it's good if we have that group that can talk to them. I mean, that the Caribbean Basin Initiative when Reagan was there, and they tried to do different things around that time, and then we formed the CARICOM. So it's something that's still there, and it's just a matter of having to use it properly. Venezuela, which is not part of the CARICOM, Venezuela, when Chavez was there, was helping some of the CARICOM countries to get cheap gasoline, for example, cheap fuel.
Okay. Yes.
We don't have the resources to, say, take our gas from Trinidad and pipe it to Barbados or the other Caribbean islands. But we can do LNG, for example, or CNG, or compressed gas, and have it regasified at these different countries, so you can have energy. Because without energy, you're not going to have, have a proper economy as such. So it's something we could look at.
No, thank you very much. I think in the case of Africa, there was a consensus in the 60s, led by Kwame Nkrumah then, to say, look, this is the capital of Africa. What happened in those days was that the big countries came together and picked Central Africa as the capital. But unfortunately, the African Union has not really developed to that level. It's a pity for us, but maybe we'll still do something about it. We are on to Diplomatic Hour with Owe Lakemfa on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja, and we're discussing with Ambassador Wendell de Landro, the Ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago. Sir, your country, the founding president of your country, Eric Williams, was an outstanding academic whose book on capitalism and slavery, is still regarded as a classic today. And you developed Derek Walcott, the playwright and writer. Actually, was in Nigeria. He actually came to my school also, University of Ife in those days. Yes, he has friends in Nigeria. So he came, he had the Nobel Prize in 1992. And your country also produced V.S. Naipaul, who won the Nobel Prize in 2001. This look like major achievements. Are these happenstance? Are they errors in history, or you think it's a deliberate thing that came from your planning, in education?
Definitely is not aberration and an error in history at all. Our Prime Minister, Eric Williams, he went to Oxford, a brilliant scholar there. You mentioned only one of the books he wrote, Capital and Slavery.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm reading one now, The History of Trinidad and Tobago, where he spoke about the full, from when Columbus came, even before he came with the Amerindians, Caribs and Arawaks, throughout and describing what happened in Trinidad and Tobago, why we were discarded by the Spanish, and what happened with the French and the British when they came in. You mentioned before Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
There's George Padmore.
George Padmore, yes.
George Padmore was one of the founding people for Pan-Africanism in Africa, and he's from Trinidad.
No, I didn't remember that. Ah, okay. Yeah, he lived in Ghana.
That's right.
Yes.
In fact, there's a museum for George Padmore in Ghana, well respected.
Yes.
All right. But it's a deliberate development in the sense that because of the English schooling, right?
Yeah.
One thing's for colonialism there. The school places were given to very few people that can go to the high schools. My parents, for example, couldn't go to QRC and the big schools. they had to go to Modsec where you had to pay a little bit of money to get in there. So the brighter minds in the world, like Williams and these guys, were developed in that system. And because of that, education became, when we got independence in 1962, education was free. That's one of the things that we use the money for. Free primary school education, free secondary school education. Later on in the 90s, we had free tertiary education, and because of the decline a bit, it's being subsidized, or not being given freely. You know, you can apply, and you pay half, they pay half the money, and you get half of it. So the money goes back to the citizens, not only by virtue of subsidies, we still subsidize our gasoline, but by virtue of education there. Health is also free. And these are things that are done by the government, right? The things there. So the education was a big thing. In fact, the Prime Minister said that the future of the country is in the school bags of the children. That's how important it was. The Americans who I worked with in Trinidad, and I worked on the southeastern coast there, a place called Galita Point, and they would always comment that when they go to work in the morning, when they go to work for 7, so they'll be going to work and seeing parents on the side of the road with their children, preparing them for school. And they marvel at that. We don't have school buses, but the parents made sure that, hey, my child is going to go to school, and that's what we saw as mobility in the country to change your status in life by education. And so that was just given a big thing there. We have universities. We have 2 universities in Trinidad. I mean, a place of 1.5 million. We had the University of the West Indies. We had an engineering campus in Trinidad, in St. Augustine, where I am a graduate of the University of the West Indies. I did my engineering there. In the Jamaica, we have the Faculty of Medicine in Jamaica and Law in Barbados. So it's that's called University of the West Indies. Now we have University of Trinidad and Tobago, whereby it's more of a not technical but hands-on. You can do music there. It's not the normal traditional medicine stuff. We have also Eric Williams Medical Complex, right? A medical school in Trinidad also, right? One of the things that I am also looking to do is to talk about educational tourism, whereby Nigerians can now come to Trinidad and enjoy doing medicine. We have them there already.
I see.
Doing engineering and stuff at the University of Trinidad and Tobago or UWI. I can tell you that they teach Yoruba in UTT.
Oh, I see.
They also teach Hindi. So, again, every creed and race is going to find an equal place even in the education system. So it's not by happenstance that you have these luminaries coming out of the country. In fact, I went to Bauchi, it was last year, and in the museum for Tafawa Balewa, the first
Tafawa Balewa, yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
The first Prime Minister or President of Nigeria.
Yeah.
There was a picture in the museum there with him, I think in 1965, in London. And next to him was my Prime Minister, Dr. Eric Williams, in that picture there. In fact, I'm trying to get a picture to show them to see how way back.
Yeah, we have come.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much. We'll be speaking with the ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago in Nigeria. He's spoken to us on a number of issues, especially cultural. The ambassador who has concurrent accreditation to countries like Algeria and Ethiopia. See you next week, Friday.
Thank you, sir.